How do you make a car go fast? Well, it depends on how you want to go fast. You can go fast in a straight line for a short distance, you can go fast in a straight line for a long distance, you can go fast sideways, you can go fast in circles, you can go fast in ovals, and you can go fast in a curvy asphalt parking lot with weird red and white bumps on the side. Anyway, no matter how you try to go fast, there will always be three main ingredients: grip, power, and weight. You need different amounts of each of these in different kinds of racing, but I digress. One of our favorite cars capitalizes on two of these main points very well. For the car, I'm talking about the MX5 Miata. Doesn't matter what gen, all of them are lightweight and have a great amount of grip. If you're interested in learning about the different generations of the Miata and their individual specifications, I would go check out my last video, or part 2 in this 3-part series, about the history of the Miata. But before you go, how about you finish watching this video first, as this is part 3 and the final installment in my short series about the Mazda Miata. As you may have guessed, today we are going to be talking about the history of the Miata in motorsports and what makes it such a great race car. This video is going to get super technical, so grab a seat and some chalky milk, and let's jump into today's video. Now, like I said earlier, to make a good race car, you need three things. The Miata does really well at two of those: grip and weight. With the lightest Miata weighing in at just over 2,000 pounds, or about 950 kilos, and the heaviest coming in at just under 2,500 pounds, or about 1,100 kilos. The grip mainly comes from the wonderfully designed chassis and the somewhat short wheelbase. The short wheelbase, which was actually protested during development, makes the car super easy to rotate in the corners and makes the car very sensitive to steering input, which in turn makes for a better handling race car, or road car as most Miatas are. Now to look at the history of the Miata in motorsports. Since its inception with the NA Miata, the MX5 has always been involved from racing, in the year after it started production to today. It all started in the 1990s, where the NA Miata, or the first gen, raced in multiple series. The SCCA, the Sports Car Club of America, the NASA, the National Autosport Association, and the MCSCC, or the Midwestern Council of Sports Car Clubs. It raced under the SC, or Spec Car nameplate. It was meant to be a low-cost racing option with little wiggle room for modifications, meaning that many teams could have a shot at winning due to the parity of the field. The first-gen MX5 spec cars started with a 1600 cubic centimeter or 1.6-liter engine and competed with that engine from 1990 to 1993, and then switched to 1800cc or the 1.8-liter engine and stuck with that from 1999 till 2005. In 1999, the first ever race sanctioned by the SCCA was held. It was its own regional division, with the first race only having 4 participants: Tim Evans, Shannon McMasters, Bob Reinhart, and David Aubney, finishing in that order. The first auto race for the National Auto Sport Association, or NASA, not that NASA, was held in February 2000 by the NorCal region, or the Northern California region. The UPR Racing Supply first ever Spec Miata National was held in Avondale, Arizona at the Phoenix International Raceway's Infield Road Course on January 13th of 2006, with Brad Rampelberg as the first ever national race winner. There's a bit of a funny story around this race. So Mike Halpin, a respected local driver, was awarded the win because Brad Rampelberg was disqualified for an undisclosed reason. Brad's disqualification was later overturned by the SCCA board. Brad Rampelberg was then named the winner in later posted results. We still aren't quite sure why he got DQ'd in the first place, but we do know that today he is still actually credited with the win. Anyway, as its name shows, Spec Miata is a specified car class. That means that the rules around modifying cars or parts is super strict, similar to how modern day NASCAR is. The class intends to put drivers on a very even footing by making their cars as identical as possible. Rampelberg's disqualification probably had to do with him modifying a single source part and breaking the rules in that manner, but I digress. In the next couple years, a big change was coming, and that change was brought about by the SCCA, or the Sports Car Club of America. This change was brought about in 2006, where the series would change from being called the SC to the Global MX5 Cup. This is what it's still called today. That's not to say that nothing has changed though. Earlier generations raced in the NB and NC MX5, and today we see them race in the ND. Every time that a new MX5 is released, we see the MX5 Cup switch to that generation of the Miata. Recently, we've seen the MX5 Cup change from the old NC generation to the current ND generation. The MX5 Cup currently races modified ND Miatas. They make a little bit more power, more downforce, and have more safety, but underneath, they are generally the same cars. A typical race-ready spec Miata goes for between $8,000 and $35,000, depending on the race win history and modifications. A new MX5 Cup professional class, based on the ND Series MX5, costs $58,900 new, meaning you can buy a factory race car for just under $60K, which is a really good deal. The cost is so low on these cars due to the very tight rules surrounding modifying the cars. They have a very strict set of rules that everyone needs to adhere to. That's why F1 cars go for $20 million, because they have to pay engineers to advance the technology and make their cars faster. Whereas here, there's not much you can change. You just have to make a good setup and race that the day that you race. Anyway, let's take a second to look at the general rules about the race cars. Between 1990 and 1993, cars used the 1.6-liter inline-4. These cars had a race weight of 2,275 pounds, or 1,057 kilos. Later on, from 1995 to 2000, they switched to the 1.8-liter inline-4. Cars with the 1.8 engine had a minimum race weight of 2,400 pounds instead of 2,275 pounds. These rules around weight go back to what I said at the start of the video, talking about how weighing less makes you go faster, and the goal of this whole series was parity, so that puts limits on how light your car can be to try and create better and close racing. The NB1 Miata raced from 1999 to 2000 and also used the 1.8. Those were the pre-facelift versions of the NB, and they had a minimum weight of 2,400 pounds. The NB2 Miatas, used between 2001 and 2005, were the post-facelift version of the NB Miata. They had a minimum weight of 2,425 pounds. Some of the weight gain was from the new front bumper, and a little bit of it also came from new engines that they were using. Some rules around the engines were that the 1.8-liter cars could not run aftermarket air intakes. This was because the air intakes could add more power, and like I said earlier, more power means more fast, which kind of ruins the parity, because someone being more fast kind of kills close racing. The NB models with the 1.8 also ran with throttle restrictors, whereas the 1.6-liter cars did not need one. Instead, they ran modified air boxes to limit power. The class rule called for stock engines. A few modifications were allowed to be ran, but they were only allowed to help balance the factory tolerances. One thing you may find interesting about this is that the engine builders have been taking advantage of this for years. The top prep engines prepared by the best teams make about 10 to 20 more horsepower than a healthy engine. That can lead to several seconds gained over the course of a race. Those top prep engines can cost several $1,000s, which would just add to the cost of the car though. Now that we're done talking about all the technical stuff, let's talk about why this car makes such a good race car. I would mainly like to chalk it up to the Miata being so well balanced. It has a great power to weight ratio and inspires so much confidence. As one Miata owner says, it communicates to you the feel of everything about the road surface. It's highly engaging, it is limited in power, but it challenges you to push the car to its limits, and that gives you a confidence, a feeling that I just can't describe. You feel one with the car and the road. The balance and confidence it inspires makes it a great race car and makes it easier to drive. If you have experience driving the Miata, tell me your thoughts on it down in the comments. Thanks for watching and making it to the end of this video. This is the third and final part of my 3-part series on the Mazda Miata. The first 2 parts are great. I would go take a look at them if you're interested when you're done watching this. I'll put the links in the description to help you guys out. Next video, we will talk about 5 cars from the past that I would like to see reincarnated. So check that out in the next few weeks when it comes out. Thanks again for watching. This has been Ryan Moore with Car Guy Bits. Catch you guys next time.